So all right, everybody, welcome to the first Galloway Precision and N.A.G Industries podcast. Some of you know me. I'm Brandyn Langston, lead gunsmith at Galloway Precision. With me tonight is Erik Heine from N.A.G Industries. He is our owner of N.A.G Industries, our sister company in California in Kern County, Bakersfield, California. So everybody say hello to Erik.
How's it going, everybody?
So, what do we want to accomplish with our podcast? The first one is just kind of we're testing the waters, because obviously we don't know what we're doing, as we're both wearing gaming headsets and don't have any real equipment. I'm using my work computer, and he's using his work computer from home as well. So
that's what happens when you put a Scout and 11 Bravo together.
Yes. He's supposed to be the one who knows what happened, Scouts out and all that. Anyway. Hello, John Doe. A little bit about what you guys do out there in California. What is your specialties? What do you guys specialize in? What is your biggest thing that you guys are known for in California right now?
So that's probably a little bit of a double-edged sword. Bud Light's awesome, by the way, John Doe.
Jameson and ginger ale for the real man. But I had to drink it out of a skull cup to make up for my sissy stick.
So one of the biggest things we do is probably our laser stippling, which might be a little hard to see on our lowers. We also do slide cutting. So that's some of the major things we do out here. We do a lot of things with you guys, Brandyn, over at Galloway. Outside of that, we're just generalized.
And
go ahead.
And you guys are the Vortex go-to for law enforcement in California, correct?
Yep, California and Oregon. That's why I said it's kind of a double-edged sword. We also are very heavily into government sales. Kind of the running joke is, if it's between a stapler and a tank, we tell the department we can probably find
it. That's good. And and that's, we've got a lot of followers between the two of us on social media and everything else between both companies that are law enforcement. So it's good for guys that are outside your sphere of influence in certain areas of California, if they're able to watch this now or later on and pick up that there's at least somebody behind enemy lines there to help them. So,
I just got my ass KS yesterday, damn
it. So yeah, they can laser stipple. We haven't gotten our laser machine yet, so all the laser engraving that you guys see on the social media and the stuff that we took to SHOT Show this year, that was done by Erik and Joe at N.A.G Industries. So they can do. Oh yeah, definitely. Yep. I'd say he could easily do that. And you got the TS or the original? No, it'd be Pimp. Is one of those high tower bullpup kits. Completely done.
Ooh.
That would be pretty slick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably something he could do. What do you think, Erik? Is that something you guys could tackle?
Oh, I think so. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that thing, especially considering the new TSC. Pardon me, social distance the mic there. That high tower armory, that thing really interests me. It's making me want to get another high point carbine. I used to have a ton of the things, and then slowly but surely over the years they just got sold off. I'm not one to keep a lot of things. I like a core set of my favorite little weapons, but I get rid of a lot of stuff, and now I'm wishing I hadn't, because that HTA stock, that thing is pimp.
You know, you just hit something kind of funny, and I know we're probably going to get to this later, but let's talk about people that have done their time in the military, combat MOS, and you have the guy roll to the gun shop, and he's like, I need 5,000 rounds of ammunition. I was like, oh, cool, man. What are you doing with it? Oh, when the end of the when it comes, right? I'm like, have you ever carried a full combat load of an M4? Let's just start there real quick.
Just curious. 210 rounds in metal GI mags.
Yeah.
No PMags, because we didn't have that when I was in. No, it was the old USGI mags.
But you kind of sit there and scratch your head, and you're like, dude, you ain't getting too much more than that right there.
Yeah, and especially, and I realize with everything going on, and I'm sure it'll get brought up, and we'll touch on it some, the stuff going on in Canada and Michigan. Michigan especially, that's here in America, and they had to basically storm their capital, and people are, oh my God, it's the end of the world. But the reality of it is, if you watch the video, they didn't really storm a whole lot of anything. They made their presence known, and they showed they're not going to back down. But they were literally being checked via thermometer for temperature to make sure they didn't have coronavirus before entering the Capitol building, which by Michigan law, it is also perfectly legal for them to open carry in their own Capitol building. There was nothing illegal about anything they were doing.
Yeah.
Not yet. Bitch. That's my gaming mic. That's my jacked up nose. I can't help it. I had a Bradley Hatch crush my head right before I got out, and it completely smashed my nose in my face. And the VA did a septioplasty, and they screwed it up. So it's collapsing in on itself. So if I move the mic too far away, you can't hear me. I get it too close, all you're going to hear is my nasal, heavy, get in the van breathing, which is just off-putting to people, I think.
I'm really excited at SHOT Show at the bar.
All right. So, oh no, you're fine. You're not. It's like I said. This is our first one. We're all learning. We're all learning together.
Yep.
All 9 of us that are in here right now. See, I can see who's here. Not bad for the first 10 minutes.
Hey, I feel special.
You should. So, yes, for those that don't know, some of you probably do. We are both combat vets. We've both deployed downrange.
I'm sort of. I don't really. I went to Kosovo. That was my deployment.
Yeah, that's true. However, Kosovo is not exactly a walk in the park.
No, but it was really chill.
It was really chill. Well, now it is. They're afraid we're going to set them all on fire. But that is a great point he brought up with the man who wants to come in, and it's good to prepare for things. And we do see a lot of overstepping at the local, state, and federal levels on a lot of different things. But yeah, we can do that. We actually make a trigger for the high point carbine, the rat rod. It's the only flat face trigger with an over travel stop on the market. I'm pretty sure if you wanted something really cool done to the trigger, I could send it over to N.A.G, and they could do some laser work to it pretty good too.
Oh, absolutely.
But sorry, the comments distracted me. A combat load is 210 rounds. Okay, and a lot. I'm gonna catch immortal hell for this, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I'm about to hear with the Boog Boy thing. Like it was funny at first, and it's still kind of entertaining, but we've now hit we've jumped the shark on it. And a lot of these guys that are into, and it's good, don't get me wrong. It's another one of those things that brings more people to the community. Don't get me wrong on that at all. I'm glad it's happening, because a lot of the people that are joining that movement and joining these new militias that are run by these guys are younger men and women who are millennials, who, you know, their entire generation is basically shat upon because of what is broadcast about them on the whole. Tech at GallowayPrecision.com. Right now, with everything going on, man, I'm doing several hundred emails a day. So if you email me on Friday or so, I'll probably get to it on Monday. Normally, I don't work on the weekends. We're closed on the weekends. This is more of the labor of love side of things. But just shoot me an email, and Monday I'll get up with you, and we will get you squared away, my friend. All right. So we ran a little over what I wanted to, but what we're going to do, what we're trying to do a little bit here is make ourselves have an outline of sorts. Yes. Because if we wanted to, we could sit here and talk about guns all night long. The wives would not be happy about that. So we put ourselves on a schedule. First thing first, those of you who are new gun owners, if anyone listening right now is a new gun owner, anybody watching the video later on is a new gun owner, thank you for going out and buying a gun. We greatly appreciate that. Thanks for joining the movement, the Second Amendment movement, as it should all Americans be joined. But first and foremost, guys, we're very glad that you joined us, but please, please, please get just a little bit of training, just a tiny bit. Some of the pictures I have seen of new gun owners on social media, waving guns around, flagging everybody, loaded ammo.
Wait, you like that?
Yeah, you know, like, and hey, to be fair, those of us that don't have a military, the first time you picked up outside of, you know, you knew an NCO would rip your head off and do horrible things to you. You didn't go waving the thing around, but you were like, oh, it's a machine gun. And so I think there's a lot of that. Yeah, it really is on us. It really is. Because we have raised. But see, here's the thing. That's another thing. People think I'm young. I'm actually turning 40 in August, and Erik here is 27.
Nope,
he is of that
28
generation.
on Tuesday. I got my big boy pants on now.
But he is what is honestly, when you look at a lot of his generation, a very small percentage. And I think John is right in that it is, a lot of it is on us, Generation X and boomers, because, you know, as Generation X, you guys are our siblings. We knew better. We caught most of the crap, so on and so forth. But we also knew we should have been helping our parents, you know, in a lot of cases, because, you know, we were, our generation, X and millennial, you know, we were the first latchkey kids. You know, we were the guy with the kids coming home because both parents worked. We were the ones that did everything for ourselves. And then to an extent, the first generation of millennials were like that. And then you see this big gap where I don't know if there's more trustafarians in America than I know about, but like there's just all these people where they've never really worked in their lives. They've never done anything meaningful beyond that. I don't want to say meaningful. That's probably the wrong thing to say. They've never done anything that wasn't directly related to them. They've never given of themselves. They've never served. They've never done anything for anyone. And so we've ended up with a whole lot of self-centered, selfish people. And I think this pandemic has really brought that out too.
110%. So, two things. I'm going to step back to our one subject we just said real quick. The perfect meme I've ever seen out there was you need a $700 rifle and $4,000 worth of training. It's something like that. 110% on that.
Yes. Right? And you know, and this is coming from people who sell parts, guys. Okay, this is what we do for a living. We're not telling you don't come buy our parts. Hey there, Gizzard. How you doing, buddy?
It's amazing just to step into that real quick. Like I show up to demos and I got PWS, I got Rainier Arms, I got all our Vortex gear. And guys are like, oh, why are you running all this?
Well, and I've been out there with you guys. Remember that that year, and I brought the Gucci Glocks, and I mean, there's always pimp stuff around. And then they can't hit a target.
Yeah, and everybody's like, why you run all that? I said, let me stop you right there. I said, I am very fortunate in what I do and my company and what it does and the people I work with that have helped getting this gear together to go take out. But if it was my own personal dime, I'm going to go buy the cheap stuff.
Yeah. And I'm going to train with it. And because, and the thing of it is, at this point with manufacturing the way it is, you've got guys like Bear Creek Arsenal, Palmetto, and other shops, that are on the lower end, but that's because they're not just, everybody thinks they're only producing for themselves. Obviously not, or they wouldn't be making so much stuff at such a cost. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of, in our industry, a lot of industrial incest, I guess you want to call it. And I mean, just it's a very incestual industry in the fact that everybody's in bed with everybody else. Nobody has an original, in the mainstream of things. Like what we do is very niche. We cover all the guns, both Galloway and N.A.G. That we do the mainstream stuff, but we also cover bodyguards, LCPs, skies, things that nobody think about. Nobody else wants to touch. Nobody wants to mess with it. And understandably so, because a lot of these little guns are actually a little bit more complicated. Exactly. See, John's got the right idea. That's what you need to do.
Hey, I actually want to truthfully answer Luke's question here. How often do we all train? Man, I'm
not often enough.
No, everybody's like, hey, you get to work with guns for a living. I said the last time I shot a gun for my own personal being, like just to go have fun, 2 years ago. And they're like, what?
No.
I said, I'm at a demo once a month with PDs.
Yeah.
But I got to make sure they're all playing with guns.
Yeah. And, and when I'm doing videos for work or I'm out there with the kids and having them shoot and training them, I'm not shooting with them. I'm showing them how to do stuff. So it's very rare for me. I've got a range in my own yard, and it's very rare I get to go out and actually run drills and stuff. But that's where dry fire comes in.
That, and you still get to learn stuff from other people, even though you may not be shooting at that moment.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of people like that, and that's where the dry fire comes into play. There's a couple people out there now, the Pew Pew channel, to plug our own guy, our own brand ambassador. He does an online course with you. You get 8 to 12 sessions. I can't remember. I'll have to ask him before the next pod. There are now other companies following his lead. You've got all sorts of new technology out there, new things where people are setting up laser stuff.
No, and so
crap.
And actually, on that note, Brandon, I mean, one of the companies that I work for here in California contracted with them to make sure all their stuff at successful in front departments is laser shot simulators. I mean, it is a full-on.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen it. One of these episodes, we'll have to set it up in the background and demonstrate it. But you want to talk about getting some training when you can't be out and all this just COVID stuff or life's too busy to make it to the range? Ridiculous.
Yeah. And you guys have got that actually out here in Brevard. They're out at Bear Arms. They've got one, an older one. I think he bought secondhand, but I've shot these things before, and they make great trainers because, pop, 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 but you're not spending the ammo. You can move around somewhat. I mean, it's not like you're at a range shooting with, whoever it is you want your dream idol to go train with is, but you're able to still get the training in you need. It gives you good target ID stuff. And honestly, it really works when you deal with a company like N.A.G who's got access to stuff like that. You guys can go in, and he doesn't have just Glocks. He's got other weapons that are for this thing. So you can do different weapons platforms, different pistols, different shotguns, different rifles, and learn things. And the big thing, like John Doe, my wife needs to train more. Now, make it a fun thing. Training doesn't have to always be, yes, we're doing something very serious. I'm trying to keep the glare down from my glass. I mean, we are dealing with something very serious. However, during the dry fire, the walk phase, the crawl and the walk, we can have fun with it. It's more pew, pew, pew. I'm gonna have to go video that now.
And I got a lot of really close friends that are either retired special forces or still in, and
well, your brother's still attached, isn't he?
He is. But one of the things is that I've learned from them is that always end on a good note out of your training. So like if you're having you got training, you're having a rough day and you keep missing that target, well, maybe you need to scoot in 10 yards, right?
Yeah.
But leave on that good note. So you leave on a positive note.
Instead of, oh man, I could have done better, blah, blah, blah. You're always going to leave. Like the last shoot we did together, who was it? I think it was Sean. Mowed down at the end of the day.
That's actually the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mowed down the 3 with the 300. Yeah, that was pretty sweet. But that's a perfect example. He was just having a rough day. The demo went bad, and then at the end of the day, he was like, "Screw it!" Picked up that 300 and did a full mag dump and murdered the hell out of the steel. So it was great. All right, now here, this is gonna twist some panties.
Oh no!
How cheap is too cheap?
I think that
I'm not talking about hookers or drinking, just to get out of the way.
I think that is a very loaded question because I think we came into this saying, "Hey, get the cheaper gun," and
it is.
Training is more important, but also a gun that does not function properly, you're not getting good training.
Exactly. And where the biggest priority on your dollars should be, I should say, is your ammunition.
Yep.
Because a lot of people see, there you go. And ended on a good note. Cheap is now good. Well, the G3 is a whole different thing, though, man. You got to understand, it's at that sweet spot. You're getting a lot of value, and you're actually getting a pistol that is now made here in America. They're not going to be made in Brazil anymore. Their new American facility, they're bringing all the semi-automatic here.
Fancy.
So all that production will be made here. Hopefully, I've got a little tidbit that I cannot talk about due to an NDA, but here in a few weeks or months, we'll be able to. You're privy to it already because you've already signed one, but we can't talk about that. Anyhow,
I can look in my eyes though.
And I say this too, it is a loaded question because a lot of the parts on our side that we make are for these cheaper guns. But our philosophy with that is that just because it's somewhat inexpensive doesn't mean you can't have performance. But there is a finite line that has to be drawn at a certain point. I think people misunderstand tolerance stackouts and things a lot of times, and they don't understand that a lot of these guns are being made for literally $30 to $75 a piece.
Yeah.
And as fast as they can pump them out, and we run into that. Exactly. And that's one of the things Luke James brings up is when you put performance parts in something that is never thought to have performance. No one ever thought 12 years ago when the LC9 and the LCP came out. Man, this thing could use a better trigger. Like everybody thought it, but nobody wanted to tackle it.
Well, and I mean, let's people ask me, what's a gunsmith? And you're like, that don't know guns before this whole COVID thing, right? And you have to go, I'm the mechanic for cars, like for guns, though. You break it down to them. And maybe that falls more on what's too cheap is, okay, do you want a gun that you just take out of the box? Like some people just get in their car, drive, go to work, come back, and nothing else, nothing more. That's all they want to do. That's the case. I might say, hey, the cheapest you want to go is a Glock, right? Out of the box, it's just going to run.
Yeah, it's the AK of the pistol world. You can pick up a Gen 3 for about $350, $400, depending on where you're. Well, in this market, I can't. Before the COVID madness, you could pick up a used Glock Gen 3 for about $400, and they run. People crap on High Point, but the reality of it is, it runs. Yeah. Now, High Point is honestly, I have them, and I'm not talking about the carbines. The carbines are a whole nother ball game when it comes to High Point. Their carbines have always been great. I just really wish they'd go into a double stack to compete at this point. Maybe do like a mishmash with High Point, or not High Point, High Tower Armory, and do a bullpup from the ground up.
Right.
The boy in there, or are you looking at your other computer?
I'm actually pulling up photos of the High Point carbine.
There you go. But that is honestly about $150 to $180, and no matter how much people crap on High Point, I know I've seen that. What's hilarious is I wish I would have seen it sooner, because when he's like, it's jammed, he's just got the safety on. He doesn't realize that the safety is up in the slide, and he's trying to rack the slide after he shoots the chamber. But that's just it. They have a lifetime warranty. Oh, they're fugly. Do not get me wrong. They are hideous. Mm-hmm. And you could use them as a boat anchor.
Yep.
However, it will run. You give it decent ammunition. You don't even got to give it good ammunition. You give it decent middle ground ammunition, and it will run. Now, let's talk about Jimenez, Brico, and Jennings. All the same company in one form or another at different points. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. High Point bullpup.
On that tall time for that gentleman real quick, let's talk about break-in procedures. When you can't go to the range real quick. Not trying to cut you off, Brandon.
You're fine.
Just talking about dry firing and all that stuff. It is not the funnest way of breaking something in. But, hey, the rule, the not perfect rule that we have out there, probably in the gun industry side for breaking in a firearm is what, about 500 rounds?
About 500 usually.
So racking the slide, pulling, dry firing.
Oh, yeah.
It's still doing the same thing.
It's doing the same thing without the force. Yeah. And it'll take you a while, but you'll get the same effect. And do not, I want everybody listening and everybody watching this later, because I swear to you, I will come back and haunt you for this. Put flits in your damn pistol. Don't put it in your rifle. Flits is the worst thing ever to put on a firearm, guys. Don't put that stuff on there. That's not really polishing anything. You want a good polish job, you need a polishing compound. And
even
you need,
even a good grease. A good grease will do it
really well. It'll do it really, really well. Surprisingly well. But yeah, there's multiple things. But on the topic of grease, here's what happens when you get two gunsmiths in a room. Guys, I'm all for supporting veteran-owned companies and veteran ideas and stuff, but quit putting frog lube a tube at a time inside your guns.
So at a later point in another episode, I've actually got to spend some time with those dudes.
They're solid guys. Don't get me wrong, but people don't read the instructions.
That is spot on. And there's a couple little tricks out there to make that stuff actually work better at a different time.
Yeah. And we can do stuff like that. Any ideas you guys have? Tech@GallowayPrecision.com, Erik@NAGindustries.com. If you want to hear about something in a future podcast episode, make that the subject.
It's Erik H.
Erik H. That's right.
And it's Erik with a K, not CK, not CH, just RIK.
You're talking to the king of no one spells my name right. Do you know how many times a day I get called Brandy in emails and on the phone?
You know how many times when I send a package to you guys, I make sure to put a K for Eric's name? Talking about dad now.
Range ammo. That's about all you can get right now. Now, that being said, this gentleman right here with N.A.G Industries, he's going to be getting some ammo in that he'll be able to disseminate in California. I don't know how you guys' laws work online with your credentials. I'm pretty sure you can ship out of state.
I can ship out of state. It's the in-state, literally greatest thing ever. 23 hours later, law overturned.
Yeah, you guys got some really crappy judges. Just Ninth Circuit screws you guys constantly.
Yeah.
But and I get that, and a lot of people are going to be that way, and it's understandable. Just doing dry fire exercise, and that's what you got to do. That's how you stay up on top of things, and it's not the ideal way to break in a gun. We are in no way telling you guys, hey, this is how you break in a pistol. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do if you want to stay proficient and if you want to get to know your newest weapon. You know, even if I'm not training, I try to at least put a mag, because I have a range in my arm. I try to put a mag or two through my EMP a week. Even if I'm not out there running drills, at least pop, 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 pop. Gold dot, Spear gold dot 124 grain. I don't know what he's running, though. That Lehigh Defense has got my interest. If you can hear the toddler screaming in the background, that's my daughter Lily. Very mad that I've locked her out of the bedroom. That is the master bedroom, my bedroom.
I'm the master.
Yeah, that's right. There's a locked door I need in. It just boils down to what you prefer, and what the situation is going to call for. You know, if I'm going to places that I know are not good sides of town away from where I live, then I'm going to carry something a little bit hotter and a little bit heavier. But my normal everyday 124 grain gold dot, you know.
So, and just to answer John Doe, Aeroshell 64 is the grease we use. I use it on ARs. I use it on pistols. A lot of people have seen it. Like Brandon, you were one of them. You saw that.
That's pretty pimp stuff.
That full auto that we ran, that was a 10.5-inch upper. We did over 10,000 rounds in it and still
didn't clean it once.
Stuff works well.
Yeah.
And then for me on ammo, I'm very fortunate to be very close with one of the people that supplies all the Hornady ammo for a lot of the police departments. I'm a big fan of their stuff, especially their self-defense stuff. I've got to see a lot of their ballistic testings and what they use. So, you know, I throw them a couple bucks for the ammo that we need for self-defense, and I trust it because I trust the person that sells it.
Yeah, and that's going to have a lot to do with it too. I used to carry critical duty, but my EMP just didn't like it. It likes the gold dot better, and that's something you have to take into account too. Certain guns are going to want to run certain ammunition better than others.
Yeah,
I put plus P Powerball in it, runs like a dream, but one, my MP is not plus P rated, so I try not to do that often. And two, it's just not. It's core bomb Powerball is getting harder and harder to come by 9mm as the round comes back because it's easy to control, it's cheap, so on and so forth. Can you, for John Doe, the link to the grease?
Yeah, I just sent it to you. I think you have access to do that.
Oh, yeah. Hold on a second.
We're Still learning. It's our first
Yeah, it's our first time. Yeah, you got a bear. I forgot the name. It is called Arrow Shell 64. Give me a minute and I'll find us a link.
So I want to talk about, while you're looking for this link, Luke James and steel case ammo. You want to see me lose my crap on somebody?
Now, there's a reason.
There's only one gun in this world, and it falls in the AK platform that is meant to shoot steel case ammo. And that's my personal opinion. I mean,
yeah, and
yeah. I've seen more
modern stuff's not horrible. Oh yeah, especially, and you're gonna, guys, keep in mind, we're not just your average YouTube personality here. Like, this is literally, we fix guns for a living.
I've literally seen Smith & Wesson MMPs just be blown up.
Oh yeah,
because of steel case ammo,
and a lot of it has to do with not even, there is good and bad steel cased ammo, just like any other ammo out there. Yep. Stay away from anything with shellac on it. That's the biggest problem. These guys buy the brown bear and the wolf that's got the poly all over it, and that,
you mean the stuff that comes in little rip open bags?
Yeah, and it melts to the inside of the chamber, and that's what causes the issue, because eventually you're going to get ammo stuck, especially when you've got steel on steel.
Yep.
Which, if you've got a fluted chamber like HK does on some of their guns, you can run whatever the hell you want in that thing. You can put rocks in it, and I'm pretty sure it's going to go. What are you doing? I forgot to lock the door. She's at the baby gate. What are you doing?
But, and that's the thing. I'm not saying steel case is bad ammo, but like on the AK-47s,
oh yeah, they're
meant to be put in there and ripped out, right? And it's like, people who go run that stuff in ARs and they're like, my extractor keeps breaking, and I'm just like, I wonder why. Stop being cheap ass.
It's not meant for that. Yeah, and exactly. Luke James brings up a perfect point. That pistol didn't like that ammo.
Yep.
The Glock, again, I can stall a Glock, he can stall, anyone can. We can show you how to do it.
Yeah.
But as long as your fundamentals are there, dude, a Glock's going to pretty much eat whatever you put in it. Mm-hmm. Whereas the Security 9, you're dealing with a slightly lower end pistol that is a single action that has a much heavier recoil spring than, say, a Glock 19. Mm-hmm. And so when you put those two things together, you're just asking for issues.
Yep.
And so, especially right now with everything going on, can everyone hear her screaming? Because that's all I hear.
The voice is in my head.
She is so mad. But yeah, Hornady makes some good steel stuff, and there are good alternatives out there. But if you're gonna shoot, if you're absolutely hell-bent on shooting steel, stay away from the poly stuff, stay away from the shellac, because that's what it is. It's polyurethane shellac. They're just like.
So, Brandon, correct me, because I'm going to answer Brandon Fields' question here. And this is where I get to say, hey, I'm the young buck on the street, and I don't know everything.
I don't see an issue with it. Some people say it's bad for it.
Well, hey, and my mentor, who's been doing this for God knows how long, that old man, I love him to death. He'll beat me on the back of the head if I didn't say that is true. If you read through here, hey, let's talk about reading directions. If you should always read the directions on your pistol, like, no joke, we do it when we get new pistols in. It specifically says in there not to shoot that or reloads, because if a malfunction does happen, something explodes, whatever it may be, and it causes damage to the firearm, they won't warranty it. So that in itself is probably why you shouldn't, unless you have a background like me or Brandon or another gunsmith out there.
I could see powder coated being okay. because it's encased. But, you know, and honestly, any manufacturer's manual is going to tell you the same thing about reloaded ammo. Do not shoot reloaded ammo.
We had a Smith & Wesson M&P 1.0 that came in. They shot steel cases through it. The case failed towards the rear, close to the primer pocket, completely blew up, elongated the barrel. We had to cut the slide out. We had to cut the slide open to get the barrel out. Smith & Wesson said, due to the fact not of us cutting it, because they said they would not receive the pistol until we got the case extracted out. But they said because they were using whatever it was, I can't remember the technical terms, that it was the ammunition's fault and the gun didn't get their warranty.
Yeah, and that any manufacturer is going to do that. And we run into that a lot on the part side of things where people will ask me, does this void my warranty? Well, yeah. Just like if I were to run out and buy a turbo kit for my Elantra GT, my warranty would be void because anything I do to the motor after that is on me. It's not on the company to fix. So, you know, if dude, Bull Armory, Luke J. Sorry, that caught my attention. I saw Bull Viper. I was like, yes, I'm trying to get in touch with someone at Bull Armory. We do stuff with James Reeves at TFB TV sometimes. And so I've been pestering him to figure out where those are being sold in America so I can get my hands on one, because they're double stack 1911s. I played with them a little bit at SHOT Show, not this year because I spent most of the time at the SAR USA booth, but last year. And for the price point, dude, and for a 1911 to impress James, you know, who is a through and through Glock guy, like total diehard, dyed in the wool Glock dude. That was a big deal to me. So I'd love to get my hands on one. They make that. It's the one that's got that crazy socket looking barrel. Looks like a gear coming out of the end of the barrel.
That's awesome.
It's insane. But yeah, I got 7 kids. I mean, hey, it's gonna be quiet when I feel like the house is gonna explode.
Yeah. So, Owen, 9 months yesterday, first child for us, and my mom's over here, and we're doing some work, and she's like, "It's gone quiet." Where's because he's in his little crawler thing. She's like, if you haven't learned that means something, you need to learn it now, she tells me.
But yeah, the Bull Viper, I'm hoping we can find something because I think we can do some crazy stuff. Once I get these NRA guns done for SAR USA, we'll have all the new stuff in too. So we'll be sending crazy stuff over to N.A.G, see what kind of craziness we can come up with.
I call him Kevin the mad scientist. He does everything.
Now, we're down to about our last 15 minutes. So we're going to round it out with this. Something we both run into a lot. Quality work does not come free, cheap, or quick, guys. And I don't mean it's going to take forever. I mean, we can't do it.
Well, so let me hit 2 things here. And this customer, if he's ever listening to this, knows exactly who he is. And bless his heart, because he sent me a lot of work. He works over at another gun shop, and he has sent me so much work. And he shows up a week ago. Amy, who's our operations manager, calls me because I was out on the road. She's like, "Hey, I got this gentleman here. He wants a trigger installed." I said, "Okay, trigger job, trigger install. It's $125 through us." I said, "And we need at least 3 megs worth of ammunition so we can test fire everything." Because sometimes there's just weird stuff that happens. You go throw a trigger in and the gun doesn't work. You're like, what?
Yeah. And that's why, on our end, we build that into the labor cost and whatnot, because we've got to test fire. We got to know what it does.
Yep.
If you go to somebody that changes your parts that says they're a gunsmith and they don't test fire your gun, they ain't a gunsmith.
And the beauty is that there is a store manager at this store, and he was like, "Oh, that price is really steep." And at this time, I didn't know it was this customer that sent me so much work. I probably would have busted it down to $100 for all the work he's, kicked my way. He's like, well, I'll just have the other person go install it for $60. And I love this store manager. He's one of my buddies, but I'm like, this dude isn't qualified. And let me be very specific about this. It was a Smith & Wesson shield. He wanted a Hive trigger, just the trigger shoe installed, nothing else. Don't get me wrong. There is probably nothing that will go wrong for him installing it at $60. We both know that. But let me tell you, the very first 2 Hive trigger shoes I ever installed, and I love their triggers for the price point, had to completely, talking about tolerances, bend the trigger bars to get the triggers to actually work. And I'm sitting here going, cheap work, the guy's going to throw the trigger in it, hand it back, and they're going to think everything's fine. And
and then when it doesn't work,
now you're giving me $125 plus the $60 you just gave that dude because he doesn't know what's wrong.
You just learned an expensive lesson. And we run into that a lot. Like we literally, this is probably, because I've been at the shop for 6 years now. This was about the time I first started. I had a guy telling us that his gunsmith only worked out of his van at the range. And we're like, wait a minute, what? Your kit's garbage. It's defective. It ruined my LC9. It doesn't work. It doesn't do this. And I'm like, well, why didn't you have the gunsmith contact me? I need to talk to him. What is the gun doing? Did he install the complete kit? Did he do this? Did he do that? And he goes, well, I won't see him till next weekend. I said, well, that's fine. Does he have an email, a shop number? He works from his van. And I'm like, and I'm on the phone going, what? He said, well, they won't let him in the range anymore, but he works out of his van. He does good work. And I'm like, dude, you need to send me your gun or take it to an actual gun shop that can send it to something. Because this dude working out of his van, they won't let in the range. Clue number 1. I'm not Joe Kenda by any means, but I would call that a clue. And so it's just like anything else, man. It's just like getting a tattoo. It's just like getting car work done. It's like hiring a carpenter. We're all trying to save money, especially now in the middle of all this craziness. Do not get me wrong, man. I've got so much stuff that I've got to get done that I'm doing myself in my yard right now that I would much rather pay somebody else to do. And I know, right? Like, probably has bodies under his porch. Let's be honest.
So, a fun little story about the van. There used to be a dude that rolled around Bakersfield back in the day. And I'm getting told this by officers that used to roll up. He would take all the guns, right, from whatever back in this is like 80s time frame when, you could have guns in the back car. He would roll up to people and just go, hey, you want to buy this gun? Like, open the doors and just guns lined in the van. And cops used to buy guns from him all the time like it was nothing. And then laws start getting stricter. And it's like 10 years down the road, they have to start following this guy. Come out, this dude's like smuggling guns across from the border, bringing them back up to Bakersfield. I'm just like, oh, damn.
Everybody's been buying guns from him.
Yeah, even the cops. I mean, this is from all the retired guys way back when, and I'm just dying hearing these stories. That's awesome.
This is great. So we had, it wasn't guns around here. It was always the illegal gambling, the poker machines.
Oh, I remember that when I was stationed out at Bragg.
Oh, yeah. Oh, always. We had 2 or 3 sheriffs ago. Bobby Medford went to jail for it. And it was hilarious because he pulled I guess Weinstein would have pulled Medford, actually. But he showed up to court because he was in his 60s at the time. And he's like in a walker. And I'm like, dude, I saw you like 3 days ago in Chick-fil-A. You're perfectly fine.
I don't pay attention to any of this crap. And it's funny you say that because I said to my wife the other day, I was like, this dude was perfectly fine. And like 6 months later, I'm watching, he's in a walker. I'm like, this dude.
not even like believably using the walker. Like the dude he's a massive human being. He's really tall. He's got to be 6'6", something like that. He's really tall guy. And they had they had that walker as low as it would go. And he's just clunking along with this huge 5-foot trunk of his or whatever. I'm like, dude, come on. No one's buying it. You know what you get. Just own up, get Epsteined, and be done with it. Speaking of, I wonder if he's still alive because he got the COVID and they moved him. I haven't been keeping up with the old rapey Weinstein news.
Hey, all I want to say is Kim Jong-un has a double.
Oh, I guarantee it. That was not him, dude.
That was not
no
him.
way.
Nope.
That head looked way too big. Like everything was bigger. I mean, you
probably
just
hired
died
the guy.
on them. You just died on the heart surgery table, dude. Which was probably literally a wooden table in a shack somewhere because it's North Korea.
Gotta love it.
Well, that was my favorite thing about being stationed in Korea was when we would go to Warrior Base, and that's where all the ranges were, and we would go up there, and you could see Pyongyang, and you could see Freedom Bridge, you could see it all. It was just insane. That's where we were on 9/11. 9/11 happened. The night before, we had got woke up at midnight because my buddy Russo got drunk off post in the middle of the week, I might add, just to throw that out there because I can't remember am I a day ahead or a day behind in Korea. It's been 20 years, so I don't remember. Anyhow, he had been at the MP female barracks, got his rocks off, and decided on the way out he was going to pull the fire alarm. And pulled the MP barracks fire alarm and got arrested by the MPs at their own barracks and brought to us. So we got woke up the night before. So when 9/11 happened, it was like midnight Korea time. And they wake us up and we're thinking, oh, great, what did Russo do now? And we come downstairs and that's when they go, do you have family in New York and Washington, D.C. or Pennsylvania? That's when we knew something was up. So 2 days later, because first the 506 had not deployed, we went up there while they went to training and took over Camp Humphreys to provide security. And then we're out. I was the XO's Bradley driver, so I got stuck on the CO's security detail. We're out walking the fence because, dude, it's 2 days after 9/11. Everybody's on high alert. There's this huge bright flash, and the whole base goes dark. And you know where Humphreys is. It's right there, dude. It is. You're not too much further from the DMZ. You're as close as you can get without being part of the JSA. You're on. And we're like, oh, God, no, this is happening. Because no sooner than the attacks happen, and this is selfish Private Langston at the time, George Bush gets on the news and goes, the axis of evil, North Korea. And I'm like, oh, I'm never leaving this place. I was like 4 or 5 months away from going back stateside, going to Fort Irwin. So I was not happy when he was like, axis of evil. Oh, we're never leaving Korea.
So talking about that bright flash, we had to go out do a field exercise at Bragg. We're on the 50 cal gunnery range, which butted up to the artillery range on the backside. We all know how winters are in North Carolina. They can get a little bit crispy out there.
It's trying to decide if it's going to be spring yet.
Sleeping on the ground, and it's like 5 o'clock in the morning, and the sun's rising. It's like the beginning of spring, and you just hear, doo, doo, and I haven't deployed yet, so I'm still very freshly private. And you just hear a smack like I've never heard before, and you hear me in my sleeping bag cuddled up like a freaking, I don't know, but it was like in a ball in my sleeping bag, so it's freezing. This is it!
We're all gonna die.
Well, come find out later, they shot over and hit the back of our 50 cal range, and it was Marines.
They're crayon eaters. They can't help it.
I know it's a horrible thing.
I know they're in here. We'll bring crayons next time. Actually, there are ATF regulations against that. John Doe. If you look in the reg book, you have to have a stationary brick and mortar place. You can't. The only time you can actually use your FFL outside of your main address is at a gun show, and that's it. That's the only time. So technically, if he were a real gunsmith with a Type 7 or a Type 1 FFL or whatever, he would be breaking all sorts of federal regulations and laws right there. No, the kind that
good.
do 24. Well, we got about 5 minutes left. So, what do you guys want to talk about for the last few minutes? What questions do you got for us that aren't pornographic? We try to be as family friendly as possible.
20 is a 20.
Well, well, you know.
You know, I have something, and this is a big one that I have seen just since I've been in the industry, and I think it's going to be happening more. There's a lot of females purchasing firearms.
Yes, and we're not talking about gun bunnies.
Yeah,
I get approached a lot, actually. Armed in Contrast via Tactical Tarzan, John over there at Tactical Tarzan. They're going to be getting some stuff from us. They're making up a lot more of the buying power, and rightfully so, because, as Colt said, it's the great equalizer. You know, I'm a 5'10", 240-pound man. You know, a 5'2", 100-pound woman, she's not, you know, I don't care how bad an MMA girl is. If I'm 100 pounds over and almost a foot taller than she is, I'm going to have the obvious advantage. Even if the person knows how to fight, all I got to do is wrap them up and basically wait, you know, and not to mention the fact you're in the best bang for the buck upgrade. That's going to depend on the gun.
Good ammo.
Good ammo. But you've been here most of the time, Marcus, so we've already covered that. I would say, honestly, if you're carrying every day, a holster to start with. Length has got to be 16 inches. Anything.
We may have talked about this earlier today.
Yeah.
But
see, here's the thing. It's a tricky gray area, and it's one of those things that the ATF constantly changes. Technically speaking, if it's an angled foregrip or a stop, does matter the length, because it's not an actual grip. You ain't gripping it like your lover's dangle and controlling it, as Angry Cops likes to say. And then therein again, it depends on how close to the gray line you want to really ride, because you can get away with those little stubby Magpuls and CAAs that are like an inch, because you can't really grab anything. You can't. It's more of a stop than anything, and you can get away with those on pistol lengths. But an actual true broomstick Magpul style 3 or longer inch foregrip, the moment you put that on a pistol AR or AK, it's an SBR. Stupidest thing in the world, dumbest thing in the world, but that's the way it is, unfortunately. Well,
and just rolling back into the whole women thing, though, real quick before we do hop off of here. We are here to answer questions. Like, seriously. Yeah. I know the whole husband-wife thing, boyfriend-girl thing, sometimes it's not a good mix when firearms are incorporated. Just be, and I don't mean it like, oh, she pissed me off.
Your significant other.
Yeah, but, you know, just the teaching ability. And one of the biggest things, my mom's actually part owner of my company now. Like, we are partially woman-owned, and that's a big thing. We want to be here to help the women that just got the firearms that think it. Stupid question. There is no such thing as a stupid question when it comes to firearms.
Well, and as well as I do, we have 3 women on our staff.
Yeah.
Debbie is the co-owner of the company, and then we have Lynette and Jeanette. So no, there's no boys club only.
Yeah.
Everybody's welcome. Everybody should be welcome.
Yep.
Keep forgetting this thing isn't like 4 feet long. So on that note, because it's California time, we'll let Eric get on back to his family. I'm going to sign off myself because it is 9 here. I'm going to go.
Before we sign off, are we doing this a week from now, 2 weeks from now? Just throw it out.
Let's shoot for a bi-monthly. I think bi-monthly will be the good one. That'll give us a couple weeks to get some questions from everyone and see what we're going to come up with for the next topic. Short stroke package of the car CM9. We are dumping the sear and going to a trigger bar. Shoot me an email at tech@gallowayprecision.com for more details. And I will get to you on Monday. Everybody, thank you, John. We've enjoyed it ourselves. It was a good time. Not bad for our first go, I don't believe. And so we'll see everybody 2 weeks from today. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Eric, and this is what happens when you mix 11 Bravo and a Calf Scout.
At least you didn't get a Spurs. See, I can't even say it right. Spurs. Yeah, I've already screwed it up. All right, guys. And we thank all of you for joining. Thanks for hanging out with us. It's been fun. We'll see you next time. And as always, be safe, be accurate, and God bless.
Later.
Later.